Why am I starting a podcast? Delusion? Why does anybody else start a podcast? Delulu, thinking that you have something interesting to say and someone other than your best friend, everyone say, hi, Stephanie, is going to listen. Greetings. It's your girl, Kelsey, back on YouTube. Brand new podcast, the Happy Tears podcast. I am so glad that you're watching today because we're going to talk about what to do when nothing is working. Okay. Everyone has gotten to that point with a dream or a goal where you're just not sure. Should I give up? Should I finally pull the plug? Which is definitely inspired by the fact that I disappeared off of YouTube for 5 years.
What the hell? Where'd she go? Are you sure she was here? Yeah, I'm positive.
What have I been doing? So we're going to talk about that today, the who, what, when, where, why of the new show. But I really want to talk to you if you are just stuck, burnt out, staring at the wall. You find yourself living on Loser Street in Epic Failure Town. And listen, I was the mayor of Epic Failure Town. So I feel like I have something to say. The Happy Tears podcast is uplifting, inspiring. It's a comedy show. So for episode 1, let's dive right into public failure and crippling depression. That's right. I cannot believe it. Here I am on camera again. I want my new channel trailer video to be like The Holiday, the movie The Holiday, where the narrator comes over and it's like, Kelsey Humphreys is a failure. And then I'll go through and list all my failures, which will be super painful and embarrassing, but funny. And I'll do anything for the joke. Welcome, old viewers, new listeners, people out there on your power walk, listening on your earbuds. No. Airbud was an NBA playing golden retriever from the days of my youth. Earbuds, AirPods, Beats, Bose, wherever the young, cool, hip people are listening. Okay, no young, cool, hip people are watching my show. I realize that. I know my place. I'm not one of those that's like, let's age gracefully. Absolutely not. You can pry my Botox out of my cold, dead hands. But I do know my place. I am now 40.
Listen to me. I'm old. I've lived my life.
I realize a lot of you guys are also, popping perimenopause supplements out there with your weighted vest. And you need something to listen to. I'm your girl. You may remember I had a YouTube talk show. I had amazing guests, Tony Robbins, the Property Brothers, Al Roker, Shalene Johnson, Gary Vee, Candace Cameron, Rachel Ray. I mean, so many huge celebrities on that show. It was a great, conversational interview show, very entrepreneurial, self-help, personal growth. Then started adding comedy videos, parody videos, and really shifted from keynote speaking into comedy work. But really, started in 2015. I was a content creator before content creator, that term existed. I just realized this whole time I've been like hunched over to the side. Why am I doing that? Like just sit up straight and be a normal human being. That ship has sailed. That show was awesome. And then it ended. And I kind of limped along trying to do some virtual shows for a while, but it ended. And I know you've been on the edge of your seat. Like, Kelsey, where have you been? What have you been doing in Oklahoma, wallowing in despair? That's the short answer to that question.
Oh, yeah. In the pit of despair.
But I do want to talk to you about the new show. We are going to talk about why it disappeared, especially in this first episode. But who, what, when, why? Who is this show for? This show is probably just for women.
This one's for the girls.
I mean, maybe not. But I definitely am going to talk about relationships and marriage and parenting and adult female friendships and all those things. You are on the edge of hustle culture. Like, we all know hustle culture is dead, but we're also not in our soft girl era because we have dreams and goals and ambitions, but we're also like drowning in diapers and cleats and ballet shoes and Axe body spray. We're just in the middle of it all. And I know that if you're like me, you feel like, listen, just give me a few years and you better watch out. Once these kids are a little bit grown, you better watch out. So you have dreams and goals in your back pocket. Just a few more years, you're going to open that cat cafe bookstore flower shop, or maybe you're going to finally start your Etsy shop, or maybe you're going to finally get on camera and start, your influencer career. Pretty much if you have a sense of humor and ovaries, like, you're in. This show is for you. Bonus points if you're entrepreneurial, bonus points if you're creative, bonus points if you grew up in church. There's going to be church jokes. There are going to be church jokes. I'm going to be throwing out some Bible verses that have just got ingrained in my head during VBS, which, by the way, what happened to VBS? Do you guys remember how unhinged that was? And now as a mom, I feel cheated because it used to be all day. I felt like I was at VBS from dawn till dusk, just, covered in macaroni and like silly string and whatever it was that we did with the teenagers who were not qualified to be watching us the entire day. And it was free, and you got like goodies and shirts and tchotchkes. And now it's like, come to our VBS. It's from 9 to 11. It takes me too much work to get everyone to the church by 9. That's not worth it. What happened to VBS? I'm getting off topic. What is this show about? I want this show to be like a funny version of like Mel Robbins, which, by the way, I love Mel Robbins, but I haven't read the new book. But did you know that the let them theory, this book, people are getting the words let them tattooed on their bodies?
You got a tattoo.
I did not have that on my 2025 bingo card. That book, which is like such a simple concept, let people be who they're going to be and do what they're going to do. International phenomenon with people getting their, like, if I inspire you so much, you want to go get happy tears. These are happy tears tattooed on your body. You could go get a Bible verse or a tribal ring around your bicep, a tasteful tramp stamp, a cross on your wrist. But no, you're going to go with my face or my podcast name. Yes, I am down for that. I was recognized on a plane once. It was the best day of my life. Kelsey, you're married and you have 6 kids. I said what I said. I love Mel Robbins, approachable, and like very, she covers lots of topics, but very focused on like relationships, personal growth, not so much entrepreneurship like my last show was. Obviously, Mel Robbins brings in like the world's experts, and I'm just going to be talking from my own personal life. Expert on nothing. But I hope you'll tune in because it's going to be a good time. You're going to feel seen and heard, and you're going to laugh, and we're going to laugh till we cry and cry till we laugh. And I know you want me to bring back the interviews. I know you do. And I have a list of people I'd like to interview, but the amount of work it took me to do this. Are you wowed, America? Are you? Because it took a lot of effort for this to happen today with the cameras and the ring light. I don't know that I can take on getting the guests, scheduling, let's do a Zoom together, and then editing the videos with double people and all that stuff. I do have a team now, but it's just like way more logistical work. I want to go back in the edit and add one thing about interviews. Let me tell you what I'm not going to do. I'm not going to grovel again for the interviews. What I'm going to do is I'm going to make a cool show, and you're cool. You're going to watch it and think it's cool. Then you're going to tell your friends who are also cool, and it's going to grow. And then people will tell me like, hey, your show is cool. Can I be on your show? Or I'll say, hey, my show is cool. You want to be on it? And they'll be like, no brainer. That's the vibe we're bringing to the interview discussion, okay? Where you, me, and the comment section and the emails that we're sending and you and me DMing back and forth and the community that we're building when I do events and we go out and meet each other in person and put on, pants with a zipper. When that happens, it'll grow and build and we will make something cool. And if people want to come on and be a part of it, and do an interview, come on in. The water's fine. Once a week. But I'm telling you right now, there are going to be weeks where I miss it because I have 1 million children with 1,000,001 needs each. Plus, I'm married and like I have to think about my stupid mental health and I got to write books. So with all that going on, there's going to be a week or two where I'm going to miss it. And old Kelsey from the olden times would have gotten really stressed out about that. But new Kelsey is like, you know what? We will be fine. Everyone will be hunky-dory. Is hunky-dory one of those things that I say because my parents are British and I grew up saying weird things? Or is hunky-dory something everybody knows? I'll have to edit that in.
Hi there, students. Hunky-dory. Everything's hunky-dory. Everything's fine. Everything's perfect, as it should be.
Thank you. I swear English, YouTube English professor, for the definition. However, it turns out it's not British. It's actually very early American. So there you go. Where is the podcast going to be? Well, right here in what used to be a formal dining room that we're now calling the library. I gave up my desk and office because the children needed more space and because we are, wait for it, homeschooling. Happy tears, of course. Yeah, I'm as surprised as you are. And I know what just happened because anytime I say that I'm a homeschooling mom of 6, there's always this glance down and it's like, I don't see a denim skirt. Why isn't she wearing a denim skirt? Her hair is pretty long, but she's got a lot of makeup. Like, does her husband know she's doing this, that she's out, on the internet doing things? No, I am not Amish or Mennonite. We both know that that's what happened. You Googled, what's the one with the long hair and the denim skirts? And it's probably Mennonite that we're thinking of, and we're not. But we are also not normal. I'm not going to go into my whole adoption journey. I say my journey, really it's our journey, but my thoughts have changed a bit on what I feel like people should share about their kids. Like, your kids can't give consent. They're little. They can't say, sure, share my entire life story and all of my photos on the internet with strangers. So I do share about the adoption process because there's very little resources for families who are interested in adopting from foster care or adopting a sibling group. So I do want to talk about it. And obviously it's shaped who I am as a person completely and totally 100%. But I really focus more on my journey and parenting and how it works than my children. Also, it needs to be said that is part of the inspiration for the name of this show, Happy Tears, because while adoption stories are beautiful and wonderful, they are also terrible. And they start with loss and heartbreak. And every single adoption story is a bittersweet story. Maybe we'll dedicate one episode to that, like comment adoption. If you want me to do one episode just on our whole story, I have chronicled a lot of it on Instagram. But basically, secondary infertility. Suddenly we can't get pregnant once we realize, we really want more kids. So then we go through some loss. We start the adoption process. We get matched. Then the match falls through, just like a lot of weeping and gnashing of teeth. And then finally we get matched to a sibling group of 4. We're like locked and loaded. We meet them, tell them we're coming to get you. We're your mom and dad on Zoom, which went about as well as you can expect. So we meet them 2 days later, find out, surprise, I'm pregnant. So if you're trying to make the math start mathing, we went from a family of 3 to a family of 8 within 1 year. I cannot even. You cannot even. We cannot even. It's been unbelievable. I mean, it really, long story short, in that we realized we really needed to bond and be together as a family. And so we started homeschooling. And so I have no office or studio anymore. And so here we are in what used to be a formal dining room turned library. And this is where I'll be filming for the foreseeable future. Lastly, why? Why am I starting a podcast? Delusion? Why does anybody else start a podcast? Delulu, thinking that you have something interesting to say and someone other than your best friend, everyone say, hi, Stephanie, is going to listen. I feel like I have learned so many things and I want to share them with you. And also, as we will discuss in this conversation today, I learned a lot from my previous failures. And now that I have successfully launched this publishing business, I have books that are out actually selling. I'm actually making money. I have a team. Things are moving and shaking like they never have with any of my other endeavors. And now that we're at this point, I feel like a podcast and a YouTube show is now back to being part of the overall plan. I do have a goal to eventually do comedy in small theaters, and it's a stand-up comedy show, and then there's Q&A, and then there's book signing lines and selfies and all of that stuff. After everyone can, I've got a lot of little kids still. I need everyone to be able to wipe their own butts and make their own sandwiches. Hopefully not at the same time, but I do have 2 boys now. So I really hope to get to like 500,000 subscribers, followers. And I think that's the number that I need in order to sustain the kind of tour I want to do, multi-city tour with the small theaters that we rent out. So that is also part of this because I cannot get on stage right now and do comedy, but I can sit here in my library and tell jokey jokes to no one while holding this microphone. So I can remind you all that I'm funny and I'd like for you to come out and see me. And can also remind you about my books and upcoming releases. Happy Christmas comes out September 30th. It's a piece of the puzzle. And I also just, when I tell you our life has been let me tell you a story all about how my life got flipped upside down. I know you and I both know all the words to that, but really my life has been flipped totally upside down, and so much has changed that I just feel like I have a lot of lessons, interesting stuff, funny stuff, things that I think are like, hey, I can relate to that. Probably not relating to having, almost having enough children to be invited to do a reality television show. Not that part, but the human condition, the emotions, everything that we've gone through, all the stuff that I've learned. I do feel like you will feel really seen and understood, and maybe learn some things about what we are all going through. The humans on Earth. That's the who, what, when, where, why. Now, let's dive into what to do when nothing is working. What to do when everything has failed and you are at the end of your rope, your wit's end. I decided to split this episode in two, so come back for episode 1, part 2 next.